Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Welcome into the Roaring Repeater podcast here on 7220 Sports. I'm your host, Cody Tucker, joined by Jared Newland in studio. Jared, I have that weird, completely unfounded, I'm out of my mind optimism with the Mountain West tournament coming just next week. I feel like the Cowboys oddly play Fresno State 2 times in a row here tomorrow. They're at Fresno State. I feel like this could be one of those teams that beats Fresno State in the first round, and at least gives probably Utah State, gives them complete hell, at least in their first game. And we've seen it before. We've seen these teams do it. And the reason I'm saying this is because Wyoming has not even come close to putting together a perfect game. The shots have not fallen for like a month. You figure that's gotta change here soon.
And they finally have depth.
Yes.
I mean, you got a Kenny Foster back. You got Combs back.
Kobe Newton.
Newton's back.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all healthy.
Yeah.
And you haven't even seen Kajenitz play in the last, 3 or 4 games. So he can still come in and give you a few minutes.
Yeah.
And Cam is playing as well as probably any big man in the league.
And I wrote about it 2 weeks ago. I would love to see Cam Magno in the starting lineup. I mean, that's all there is to it. And it's not dumping on Caden Powell. He's just having a rough go of it offensively. Yep. He's a good defensive guy. He's not bringing anything to the table on offense. And Cam's bringing it on both ends.
And Cam's missed a lot of short shots, like just the other night against Air Force.
Yeah.
Missed a couple layups, and because he was switching hands in the air, things like that. Mason Walters missed a lot.
He missed a lot.
Close bunny hop jumpers,
Yep.
Those are type of things, like you said, that shots have not been falling, not only from 3, but 5-footers.
Well, and these 3 balls haven't been falling, but they've been open looks. They've been on target. There's some we look at from the view of the press box, and you're like, nope, front iron, back iron. It's just, you figure those are going to have to start dropping here soon because they're still leading the Mountain West, by the way, in 3-point percentage. How insane is that?
And it's dropped 3% in the 3 percentage points in the last month.
Oh yeah, with ease.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been really rough going from the outside. So you figure those shots are there, and if Griffin gets 6 of those, and Cott gets 4 of those, Wenzel.
So you're saying I should look for flights for Friday for the semifinals?
Yes.
All right.
I do.
I'm on it.
And isn't that weird? We talked about it yesterday, and I know people aren't high on this team, but I haven't heard of one person going to Las Vegas.
Oh, they're going. They're definitely going. It's just the chatter's not there.
At all.
And it's oddly, this is the first time that Laramie and the university's spring break has lined up with the conference tournament since I can recall.
How perfect would that be if Wyoming was
in the first years when I was back in the early 2000s, when basketball was going strong? Yeah. I'm like, how can spring break not be the same time as a conference tournament? There'd be another 500 to 1,000 people there because the students.
Oh yeah,
and some of them were skipping classes on that Thursday, Friday, anyone come out. But even the days of the Marcus Baileys and stuff like that, people would miss that first game because they were like, oh, they'll be fine. Or if they end up losing that first game, they're out there and they didn't even get to a game.
Right.
I'm like, you guys got to schedule your flights better first.
Well, and even with Marcus Bailey, he had to hit an amazing shot just to beat Air Force.
Scary, yeah.
Anyway, or to take him into overtime.
But I think since this is lined up the same, some people have chosen not to go to Vegas because, granted, they claim it's kid-friendly. It's not. It's a horrible place to take your kids. I've done it.
Yeah.
It's horrible. But at the same time, they're taking them to different, beach destinations for spring break.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I always think of a story when I was a sophomore in high school at Central, which was around the Bailey Davis years. I remember a teacher, God bless her, she came up to me, a math teacher, and she said, Cody, you have a 22% in my class. I mean, it's bad.
You had an Emmett Smith?
Yeah, I sure did. In math, always have, always will. It was horrible. And she goes, I want to take the time. By the way, this is the first teacher that ever did this. I want to take the time to help you. Like, let's get you past. Let's get through this. Next week, come in every day, because it was right before spring break. Come in every day, and we're going to get this 22% up to at least a D and get you through this. And I was like, oh, that's so nice of you. When do you want to start? Next week. I said, oh, yeah, that's not going to work for me. Mountain West tournament, I'm going to be in Las Vegas. She goes, you're going to a basketball tournament, and you're going to miss the entire week of school and then have spring break? And I'm like, yeah, isn't that great how that lined up like that? Now I'm basically going to have 2 weeks off. And guess who went to the basketball tournament, and guess who failed math? And guess who doesn't regret it to this day? Making memories.
You should have just said, hey, can I come in after spring break? I'll do double duty, I promise.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I was just thinking about I can't wait to get to Vegas and see this team win it. And boy, did they never seem to show up in Las Vegas, did they, back in those days? Bailey had to hit that 3 at the buzzer just to get him into overtime against a really bad Air Force team. Yep. And I don't even remember what was next. I think a beating at the hands of BYU maybe.
I was thinking of San Diego State. I don't know.
God, yeah. And, of course, the 1 year I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go to the tournament this year. They go ahead and win it in 2015. And did watch that at the Waterhole Bar in Douglas, Wyoming, and it was St. Patty's Day. So
that was all right.
Extra buzz.
I was there for that one.
I bet that was amazing.
It was fun.
But I don't know. Am I crazy to feel that, the Cowboys have not put together a complete game yet, and that, it's bound to happen, isn't it? Against Fresno State especially.
And you almost had that the other night with Air Force. But then there was that lull with 7 to 4 minutes to go, and they started chipping away and cut it to 4.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was got a little hairy there for a second.
And then Wenzel went on an 8-0 run himself.
Yep.
And
those 2 threes from the corner.
Yeah.
Just same shot, same spot.
Yep. And then the steal and the dunk, he wasn't going out like that, and just wrote about it on 7220 Sports. Don't know if he's going out on that. Don't know what his future holds. I bothered him after the game and asked him a couple times and said, I bet if Sam Griffin and Aquil Cott and all these guys, Mason Walters, I bet if they all had a remaining year, this would be a no-brainer. And he was like, haven't thought about it. Just haven't thought about it.
So he obviously has an extra year, and Foster has one more. Is that correct or not?
At least one for Foster. I don't even know if they know.
Yeah. They have to go through all this is when this surgery was, this is when this injury was. But
this is when he had mono, strep, and COVID all at the same time. Yeah, so Foster he's old, man. I think they said he had a master's degree already.
And he's just beat up. If I were him, I wouldn't come back. But if it took getting Wenzel to come back, because they are best friends, maybe he would.
Well, and before,
or at least as a GA, maybe even.
Yeah, and they love that. Yeah. They love his coach. They actually, before he came back from his injury, Linder said they were giving him some coaching duties and some stuff to break down on film and stuff. So I guess that's something he's interested in. But Linder did joke after the game that his name won't be Kenny anymore after he graduates, because he's going into some kind of financial field. So he's like, the big question now is it Ken or Kenneth?
Be Kenneth.
Yeah, what looks better on a business card? Kenneth Foster.
Kenneth Foster.
Yeah.
MBA.
I guess I try and put myself in their shoes, though. You can only play college basketball once. And if you have a coach you love and he wants you to come back and you're enjoying your college experience and you're getting another free degree, I mean, I don't know. Part of me is like, hell, let's do it, man. Let's run this thing as far as it can go.
But it's not like Wenzel's been healthy his whole career, too. I mean, the back issues, you could tell even the other night he went down, he got up pretty sore and he had to stretch it out a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, it just takes a toll on you, and as you and I both know, once you hit over 30, then you feel more. Then you hit 40, you feel more. And I'm over 50, and I feel a lot.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting you bring that up, because before the CSU game, I was talking to Wyoming's new SID, Nick Seaman, and everybody's out there working out on the floor at Moby except Brendan Wenzel. And I said, where the hell is Wenzel? Like, he's playing in this game, right? And he goes, oh, yeah, it wasn't even a thing. He's still out in the back getting stretched out the way Hunter Maldonado used to, because he's just beat to hell.
Probably laying on a heating pad and all that stuff,
Yeah. So it takes time. And you think about, I thought about this too with an offensive lineman like Zach Watts. He had an additional year and he decided to hang him up. And then when you actually talk to Zach and his teammates, they'd go, you had no idea what Zach had to do to get prepared to play a college football game. Yep. I mean, you're barely practicing during the week and you're just ramping it up to play on Saturday. So I get that too, but it would be hard. It'd be hard to be like, hey, I have the ability to come back, free school, a coach who loves and respects me, but I'm hanging it up. It'd be tough.
I don't know why this popped in my head, but Where in the hell is your EA Sports defensive team?
Good question. I hate video games so much, I guess I haven't even thought about it. I should probably do that.
Because I want you to come out with the defensive team so you can get ridiculed and say, why isn't Ken Fantetti on your team?
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know if TVs were even invented when he played.
Folks, read the article before you start commenting and ridiculing Cody.
Please. I'm begging
EA
you.
Sports came out in 94 or 5.
95, right after Yarborough,
Yeah,
94.
so 94.
Yeah, 94.
So that's why he wasn't in there.
And Jay Novacek. And yeah, somebody said, your age is showing. You think these are the best offensive players in Wyoming history? And I'm like, no, I don't. No, I sure don't. But if you read the fine print,
Anyway.
it's a daily frustration. But that's all right.
Well, I guess we can segue, since I kind of did it not on purpose, but football. How about how strong Jay Savell is?
Yeah.
305 bench press, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, he got it up, man. And I was looking, I started looking more
At least
into
he got something up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay.
He's doing well. Yeah, man. I looked into the past, and he doesn't talk about it much, but he played at Mount Union, which is a Division III powerhouse, and he actually was on the team, 118 tackles, I believe, that launched them into 13 straight national, or not straight, but 13 national titles.
Well, he's got a barrel chest on him, so
He
you know
does.
he's strong.
What's funny is he showed up to Laramie a little. I don't think he'd mind me saying this. A little chubby, a little fat.
Thick.
I want to say he was. I want to say he dropped like 45 pounds his first year here and just hit the elliptical and just did it up, man. And what I love about it is he's doing this in front of his guys, and he's showing his guys like, "Hey, I'll drop 45 pounds right in front of you. Hey, I'll put up 305 right in front of you," and they love that.
Do you think that's what Barry Odom's idea was? He goes, if I'm going to do it, you guys need to do it, when he rode the bull?
I think Barry Odom has his locker room 100%.
Oh, I agree.
And he probably did anyway, but I think now they're like, dude, coach.
The last thing
awesome.
he wants is for 3 or 4 or 10 of his guys to go out and try to ride a bull.
Exactly. But I bet you they think, man, our coach is the shit. He's cool. He's fun. Look at what our coach did. And I think the Wyoming players, you saw their reaction to Saville, too. That's good stuff, man.
Well, there's probably a good, I don't know, out of 100 kids on that roster, there's probably 25 that can't put up 300 pounds. I mean,
sure.
You're looking at DBs and running backs. I mean, and not running backs, but wide receivers,
Punters,
and kickers.
Well, I don't. John Hoyland's kind of barrel chested.
There's no way he benches 305 though.
What it's showing me though is when I watch that clip, I'm thinking to myself, Wyoming football is different. It's different now in a good way. It's the same in so many ways, but it's different. Craig Bohl is not lifting 305, obviously, but he's also not doing anything on a cell phone camera and putting it on the internet.
And this might come across as kind of a knock to the athletics department, but why do they put that video out of Craig Bohl's career this week
In March?
instead of a week after he was retired? Or they should have had it prepared for when he retired.
Well, and a perfect example of Craig Bohl is when he met with the team in December before the bowl game and told them he was leaving and then said, oh, by the way, that guy right there, he's your new head coach. Yeah. They didn't want it on camera. And I asked Craig about it. I said, man, I love watching these videos where, like, a kicker comes up and they're like, hey, you make this 50-yarder, we're off today. We're off for the rest of the day. He kicks the ball. It goes through the uprights. Oh, and by the way, there's a note attached to it because you're now on full ride scholarship. And the whole crowd goes nuts. Craig called that fake and said it was just phony. And I'm like, I don't see anything phony about it. I love the emotion. I love it. Instead, he just walks up to a player and goes, hey, you're on full ride now. You've done a great job here, which is cool too. But I think we would all like to celebrate that, wouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely. I think it would be great. But that video is just, the timing of it's very, very odd.
Yeah. To me, it's like somebody in the video department left or something and got another job, and then somebody else had to pick up the slack and put it out. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there was a lot of basketball games to produce and stuff like that from then until now, but get it done.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because to me, I thought about it when it came out, and I was like, oh, but then I started getting text messages. Why?
Yeah, why?
And then it started like, that can be a little negative.
It is weird. Yeah, I mean, this.
And it takes away from what Jay's actually trying to do here in the spring.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, like, Jay shared it and said, I'm so grateful to have coached Thunder Bowl and stuff. It's just, yeah, you're right. The timing's just, I don't know if weird's the right word. It's just, it feels like it was something that was on the cutting room floor, and they're like, we better get this out. And if we don't get it out now, when are we ever going to get it out? But you know what? How much did you enjoy watching that video and seeing Craig Bohl talking to his team in a post-game locker room and getting a game ball? Yeah. I loved it. And that's how you're going to get more, whether it's fake to them or not. And Jay Savell even agreed. He was like, I didn't want it to be, I didn't care if this was on camera, and that's not the kind of program we have. Well, look at Barry Odom's bull ride. The Washington Post wrote a story about it. Yahoo wrote a story. It's good PR. And
that was a fundraiser at $150 a ticket.
Yeah.
And all went to the UNILV fund.
Yeah, which is, what a brilliant title, by the way. Good for them. They
that was good.
Yeah, they nailed that. But think about all the fans, college football fans around the country. I watched some of those scholarship videos from teams I loathed. And it brings a tear to your eye, for one, and you share them sometimes.
You cried when the entire BYU football team went on scholarship?
You missed me on that one.
Oh, because not to give these guys any advertising, but Built Bar, the owner of that company, put all the non-scholarship athletes on scholarship with a NIL deal.
Yeah, it was huge. That's what a benefit that is. I mean, that's huge. So, yeah.
It's funny, I quit. I used to eat those.
Oh, really?
Just one a day, great protein, good taste, all that kind of stuff. And then I found out that he was a BYU guy from Provo, and I was like, shit, I got to switch companies. Yeah. Then he did that, and then I read that his goal, because I think it was on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, actually. He said his goal was to have all 120 whatever football teams under his umbrella.
Wow.
That was his goal. And Wyoming does use Built Bar now.
That sucks. Yeah. I'm the same way, dude. I don't stay at Marriott's and stuff because of, obviously, the Marriott Center. I don't play that. I absolutely pay attention. You always wonder, like, why do people put so much money into marketing and advertising and stuff? But subliminally, it absolutely can work, because anything I see at a BYU game or a CSU game, there's no way in hell I'm using that. I'm the same exact way.
The bad thing with CSU is that a lot of those advertisers are crossovers to Laramie now, too.
Yeah. So, well, not that I would drink whatever that garbage beer is with the bicycle on it, but that gives me another reason not to touch
Fat
it.
Tire?
Yeah, that stuff. Whatever. I didn't even know that. Thank you.
You did.
I forgot. And I will not be banking at Canvas. I'll tell you that. Simple as that.
A lot of free advertising given out here today.
Yeah, lots of free ads coming out.
Give us a call if you actually want to advertise.
We came into this saying we're not going to talk a lot about football. We're going to give that a backseat for once, but got to mention Frank Crum had a hell of a combine. Easton Gibbs, not so much, but Easton, I wrote about it this week. Easton has been the underdog from day one. He played at a school that was not traditionally good whatsoever in high school. He was across town from a guy named Hank Bachmeyer, who was the hot dog quarterback who ended up at Boise State. Easton was the quarterback at his school there in Temecula. And Wyoming was on him from the beginning, and that was it, man. He is now a guy who walks around in cowboy boots, and he showed up, and he filled in right behind Logan Wilson and Chad Muma, and is now, in the top 5 all-time in tackles at Wyoming. He's undersized. He's used to this underdog role. He needs a shot, a la Andrew Wingard.
And there's a lot of players that don't perform at the actual combine, but they come back to their pro day, which means just as much or even more.
Yeah.
Because there probably won't be 32 scouts there this year, but with Frank's success there, maybe there will be.
Yeah.
But they'll be in the 20s because they schedule it so they can do CSU and Wyoming in the same day, and then maybe CU and Air Force in the next day or whatever.
Yep.
So they're all in the region.
Wonder why they haven't put a big combine together for just the Rocky Mountain region.
Because the coaches, their heads are too big, and where are you going to do it? Dove Valley?
Broncos.
Yeah. That'd be the one place to do it.
Yeah.
But these players want to have their familiar, territories, getting ready in their own weight room, lifting the weights they're used to, walking into the indoor facility, throwing to their own receiver, that kind of stuff.
So. Yeah. Somebody I think that could turn some heads, speaking of pro day, is Ja'Cory Hawkins. Dude runs like a 4.240. We saw that happen with, names slip in my mind 100%.
Rico Gafford.
Right, Rico Gafford, thank you. Rico Gafford wasn't on anybody's radar.
He ended up having a cup of coffee in the league.
Yeah,
and
instead
I don't know
everybody's
if
there
played. Did he get 4 years to get his pension, though?
I don't think he did, but he also got picked up by, I want to say, the XFL or whatever. But Rico Gafford was not on anybody's radar. And everybody came to see Josh Allen, and they said, who the hell is that guy? Turned him into a wide receiver.
Yep.
He wasn't a wide receiver at Wyoming. He was a defensive back, and he was a JUCO guy. So who knows? Ja'Cory Hawkins, too, is all of like 6'3". I mean, he's a lanky, tall, long wingspan. He can flat out fly, as you saw against Appalachian State and you saw against New Mexico, returning those blocked field goals. So he's a guy I think that could really maybe turn some heads and at least somebody go, hey, I mean, that guy runs 4.2 in pads. Like, might want to get him on board and just see. So I think he'd be good. Frank Crum is really, I mean, it's just a great story. The way he came into Wyoming where Coach Bull was like, all right, man, I'm going to take a chance because you're a legacy kid and you're right from here, but, man.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he was all conference
not till
in high school.
No, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Definitely wasn't all state.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a Super 25 kid from, the Trib.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, when you saw Craig not only just say, hey, come walk on, he gave him a scholarship.
Yep, and he busted his ass and was like, dude, you have to prove this or you'll be the first to lose this. So really cool story. And Frank is, I know a lot of you out there know Frank and have been next to that guy. He is humongous. I've been next to a lot of offensive linemen in the NFL in my life. He fits the part, to say the least.
So in that interview with Stacey Dales,
she's
6'1".
I think so.
Yeah.
WNBA chick.
Yeah, she played at OU, I believe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she must be 6 or 6'1" because he didn't dwarf her like he would a lot of other reporters.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No
especially
doubt.
Female reporters that do the NFL.
Oh, yeah. That would have been arm extended up like an ice cream
she
cone
was like
from
pretty
a
much
little
at
kid.
his shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Or at his shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really cool to see Frank making a name for himself here. He's just he did everything the right way, played at Wyoming for 5 years. I mean, it's hard to believe he was on Wyoming's team for 6 years. 6 of Craig Bull's 10 years. That's wild.
That leads me to, you say he's been there for 6 years. Too bad the NFL isn't like the NBA to where if you're not evaluated high enough, you can go back now that you've committed,
Yeah.
Why not, if Easton wanted to say, you know what, I'm going to go back and play one more year.
Yeah. Well, and I think some of these guys are here. I don't think. I know a lot of these guys are hearing stuff. Like Frank had told me with like a month left in the regular season that people were telling him, you're probably a 5th or 6th round guy. Mm-hmm. This was they were dubbing this as the best offensive line combine maybe of all time with the depth of how good these players are. He just made himself some money. And I know there's a lot of them, so I still wouldn't be shocked to see Frank maybe go 4th, 5th round, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
But, I mean, the 40, getting all the notoriety for running the 40 way he did, and the mullet flowing and all that kind of stuff. But what good does a 40 do? An offensive lineman.
Yeah.
They're maybe going to run 10 yards on a sweep.
Yep. I think it's just showing his athletic ability. I mean, he's really athletic. That's a lot of weight and a lot of size going down the line like that. I tell you, I wouldn't want to run into that guy pulling, that's for sure. And the thing about Frank that a lot of people don't realize, and I don't think they'll mind me telling this story, but, DJ Johnson, our photographer, his son Andrew Johnson's obviously a safety on the Cowboys, and he said, he got a baptism when he first got on campus. Frank Crum pulling, meeting Andrew Johnson, a true freshman, on the edge and just trucking him. And then Frank is, I don't want to say he's a bully, but he makes you pay your dues and earn your respect. And he's kind of got that awesome offensive line mentality on the field. Yeah. Off the field, the dude's just fantastic.
Totally, And we've talked about that for several years where Wyoming hasn't had those offensive linemen. There was a lull of, and use this however you say, you got to be a prick.
Yeah.
Be an offensive lineman.
Right.
And remember the Jeff Smiths of the world, And when he pancaked Andy Katzenmoyer back in the day, I mean, that was like, oh my.
Yeah, you got to be an asshole to do that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
But Wyoming finally had some guys like that, and I think Jack Walsh is a good example.
Yep.
I think he's tough as nails on the field.
He is.
And just bullies guys around a little bit.
Yep. I think Caden Barnett kind of fits that too, kind of a goofball away from but when it's time to get serious, it's on.
And the defensive lineman for Texas flat out said, he goes, toughest line we played all year was Wyoming.
That's awesome, man. What an unbelievable compliment. Because I know going into that one, Craig Bull was talking about Sweat, and he was saying, this dude's wasn't he close to 4 bills?
Yeah, I think he ended the season like at 370.
Yeah, that's enormous. And they were just putting that cat on skates all day long. So they doubled him, of course. I mean, you have to. But do you remember during that game seeing defensive ends flying around the edge? And aside from a crucial point in the red zone, that was like the one sack Texas had all day long, and they were bringing it. Yep, yeah. They were bringing it. So, and then when you bring it around the corner, you get to run into a 6'5", 245-pound quarterback that day. So, it's not fun either way you cut the cake. But excited for that. At the end of the month, we're going to have, those guys are likely going to find themselves on an NFL roster, and excited for that. And I'll stick by it. I think Easton Gibbs is one of those cats that just needs a shot. Just needs a shot, and then he'll be one of those thorns in your ass that will not go away, and you'll just have to be like, man, this kid's just playing. Next thing you know, he's got a C on his chest, and he's playing freaking special teams and one of your best special teams players. So,
I don't know about you, Cody, but I've had more spam calls in the last 2 hours than I've had probably in the last month.
Did you look for insurance or anything online?
No.
I know I did that once, and oh my God.
These are coming out of Houston and Connecticut, just back to back to back to back to back to back.
I get a lot from Afton, Wyoming. Who knew there were so many
That's usually the one,
Afton,
though, that, hi, this is the Wyoming Police Authority. We're looking for donations.
Yeah. You get a donation. It's on the third line of my paycheck. I give you plenty of donations already. Thank you for what you do, officer. Back to hoops a little bit. You brought up before we came on, the big question, since Linder brought it up again, was the attendance at basketball games. I mean, I got to admit, Jared, and you're probably the same way, when you see these guys introduced on senior day, and yes, I know 3 of them are one and done, and, I hardly knew ye. I understand that, but it's really hard to watch guys walk out on senior day and wave at, all 15 people in the crowd. That's just not. And that was one of the more decent crowds, honestly. It ended up being probably around 3,500 that night.
We made it a point. There was a group of us that said we're definitely going over senior night no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't
Jumped in a buddy's minivan.
Nice. I don't think many other people made that pact.
But it was fun. We went and had dinner beforehand. And 6:30 tip helped too.
Yep.
That extra half an hour does help when you're getting home earlier.
No doubt. No doubt.
But yeah, I read a thing on the D1 ticker today that Myron Medcalf catches up with several ADs to find out how they're keeping men's basketball fans engaged during the season. The Baylor AD, this is obviously a unique situation because they have a river right next to their arena and football stadium where he said we're doing trips on the river before you go to the game type of a deal, and that's how they take recruits to the game as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then there's he goes, Medcalf notes that in the top 7 men's basketball conferences, combined average attendance has dropped from 75,818 back in the 07-08 season to an average of 66,963 last season. So that we all know that basketball attendance has been trending downward. When schools like a Baylor are building new arenas, they're making them smaller.
Yep.
There's a reason that Duke sells out every single game, and there's a line every single game because it only sits like 7,000 people.
Yep.
I could be wrong on what that exact attendance is, but it's small.
Yep.
Now you look back to 1982. Why in the hell did Wyoming build a 15,000-seat arena?
Well, it probably has to do with what you've talked about with the naming right thing, that it's also the auditorium. So
yeah, but even back then, why would you think you need 15,000 people? Because in 1982 there was probably 8,000 people going to school there.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. But Then you do the renovations, and it sits, high 11.9 or whatever.
Yep.
Maybe you see a next renovation coming up after the football stuff's done, to where you're taking a lot of that upper level out, and those are turning into offices maybe for coaches.
How about some suites?
Yeah, well, that was on the original renovation plan. There was supposed to be a whole area like where that Mickey's bar is.
Mm-hmm.
That whole area was supposed to be a suite area
sweet.
where you could stand in there and watch the game and all that stuff, and that got axed. So maybe that happens, or just tarp the upper level off and make people move down to the lower level.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it.
Yeah,
but
you're not wrong, and I think when we talked off air, when you told me those numbers, my initial thoughts was TV is obviously putting people in their recliners. And then the fact that there's 5,000 Division I basketball teams, the non-conference
There's only
schedule,
352, Cody.
the non-conference basketball season, especially for Wyoming fans, is boring as hell. And it's no one's fault. It just, they can't get anybody here. And then for Wyoming, too, we also know it's a hell of a lot easier to get to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Waco, Texas, as a Baylor fan than it is to be a Wyoming fan in Powell, Wyoming. I talked to a reporter, an Air Force reporter who used to be a reporter in Powell, and I said, I bet you $1 million there's not one person in this arena tonight that's from Powell. Sure enough, one of the first senior managers announced is from Powell. But you know
So
what I
his
mean.
parents were there?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just impossible on a Tuesday night at 6:30.
There's a guy, and God bless him, Charlie from Green River. He doesn't miss a game.
That's insane.
And
Good for him.
He goes, why do you guys talk about football all the time on your podcast? I enjoy the hell out of you, but you talk about football way too much. I said, what else is there to talk about right now, Charlie?
yeah.
But anyway, he goes,
Good
I
for
got
him.
you. But he was like, I made it in 2 hours and 25 minutes tonight. That's still.
We need
a
a lot more Charlies around here.
And go back 2 hours and 25.
And the weather is hell going back that way.
There's always, I know a guy from Rollins who barely misses a game. I saw some Casper vehicles in the parking lot. Like maybe it was a pact with 4 guys that, hey, we're going down tonight.
Yeah.
And there was 4 guys that got in that vehicle.
Well, and we've talked about it 100 times over that Laramie needs to support. The students need to support. Cheyenne needs to support. And the alumni in Northern Colorado need to support.
Exactly. And here's one other thing that says a study by North Carolina professor Nels Pop, that's a professor.
Yeah, it is.
Found out that 48 schools had a 37% no-show rate during their non-conference games last season. So therefore, selling tickets appears to only be part of the problem, which it is.
Yeah.
And Wyoming's had that problem for years because they have season ticket holders, and thank you for your support, but live in all areas of the state, but do not make sure that somebody's in their seats. And there is a ticket exchange program, but maybe they're too old to understand how it works, or maybe they just don't care how it works. But
it's an app. It's a text now. How many times have you sent me tickets?
Oh, yeah. It's easy, folks.
Yeah.
Just transfer your tickets to somebody.
Yeah.
And if you don't know of somebody locally that can use them, the athletics department, or there's a thing called, I think, Best Buddies that can get people with, problems.
Sure.
To go to games, kind of like a Make-A-Wish type of deal.
Love it.
There's all that kind of stuff that you can get these tickets in front of. And a majority of those seats are behind the benches that are TV visible. So it even looks that much worse.
Even Linder's talked about we need to get more like elementary schools here. And I don't know if I brought this up on this show, but when I covered the Pittsburgh Penguins, they had, I believe, their 3rd preseason game every year is Kids Day. And it is a blanking nightmare. However, those kids, it's free too. Those kids are going to be paying customers one day.
Well, think about what the Cowgirls do every year.
Exactly.
And granted, it's like a noon start on a school day.
But why can't the Cowboys start at noon when it's on the Mountain West Network?
Yeah.
And agree to have the opponent agree to it.
Or do it Veterans Day.
Yeah.
That's a Monday,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. Or is it a Friday?
I think it's whatever.
Whatever day it is, do it on that day to where a lot of people are off.
Mm-hmm.
Mom
and dad can go.
And schools, I don't believe, are out for that day.
I don't know.
I can't remember, but maybe I'm probably going to screw this all up. But anyway, maybe do it on a holiday, though, that not everybody has off, but the schools are in session.
Yeah.
Maybe the banks are closed or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Columbus Day.
Do it on a day like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or because that would get more people to come to the games as general as a noon start.
Yep. Oh, no doubt. Yeah. No doubt. But, I mean, can you believe it? I'm not positive if the Penguins are the only team that does this kind of thing, but we're talking about a professional team that gives out 19,000 of its seats for free because I talked to the owner of the Penguins about this for a story that day. Like, dude, that's 19,000 seats. You're still selling hot dogs and stuff, no beer. I mean, I'm talking kids galore. It was a nightmare, and it's the loudest arena ever is. But he's like, these guys are going to be future season ticket holders, and we are investing in our future. We know we lose our ass on this game, even though it's a preseason game. We know we lose our ass on it. But one day, how many of these kids out here are going to be, and how many are just going to be lifelong Penguins fans because, hey, I went to a Penguins game, and we remember as kids, it was such a special feeling to go to War Memorial Stadium when you were a little kid. I remember the first time I went to Mile High Stadium, I thought, my mom actually took me to Disneyland the following summer, and I literally said, this sucks. Can we just go to Mile High Stadium every year? Big deal. It's a big deal.
And it's not just about the basketball game itself. Of course, that's 80% of it, let's say.
Yeah.
But you got to have good concession options. That's all there is to it. You have to have a place to where you can get good food, not just normal hot dogs.
Yeah.
You have to have, and I know there's a sushi place in there, but are you really going to eat sushi at a Cowboy basketball game? That's a little scary, a little dicey.
Yeah.
They still have Mexican places in there.
There goes that advertiser, by the way.
They weren't. I already tried them. There was a Mexican place in there that does nachos and stuff like that. And the kid in front of us, he was a kid of one of the guys we were with. He went and got some nachos, and I looked down at him. I was like, "Is there even any meat on that?" And he goes, "Hardly any."
Jeez.
And he probably paid $10 for it. And there was, it looked like it was just dry chips with a little bit of sour cream and salsa.
Nope. My friend took her 2 daughters to the game, and she was like, I spent $50 on concessions, and this is what we got. I know they got to make money, but how about dollar beer night? I remember the Lansing Lugnuts in Michigan. They're a single A team of the Toronto Blue Jays, but they had dollar beer night.
Well, we went to the beer stand the other night, and damn it, I am going to give somebody, it was a green St. Patty's Day can for Bud Light.
Yeah.
I said, we're not playing CSU. I can drink out of a green can. Maybe it'll bring us luck, just goofing around.
Yeah.
And she goes, good, we're trying to get rid of those.
Jeez.
And I'm like, for that night, like you said, maybe not dollar beer night, but instead of $8, it could have been $4.
Yeah.
If you want to get rid of all that stuff, because you're going to end up pouring it out anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's no more home games unless the Cowgirls get, a home game.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why?
I know.
Why not do that? And all the hot dogs that they have stacked up, they're going to have to get rid of those.
Yeah.
Or maybe save them for the spring game. Well, the spring game's not even in Laramie, so they can't even do that. So those kind of things, they could have done a lot better.
If we were college students over there, we'd be going anyway. But if we weren't and we were on the fence and going, if they said, hey, it's a Thursday night game and beers are $1 and hot dogs are $1, I'm going to go drink 30 beers and have a blast.
Too bad Chick-fil-A just didn't say, we're not going to go in the student union. We're putting a place that's open not 24/7, but obviously they're not open on Sundays. But anyway, 7 to 7 in the AA and 7 to 10 on game days.
Yeah.
And it's that their location is in the AA.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Give them the spot for free. Yeah. They don't have to rent anything. That's their spot.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the traffic that would be going through the arena?
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah.
But no, it's in the student union instead.
The only time I want Chick-fil-A is on Sundays, of course. That's just how that works.
Long Saturdays, huh?
The other thing that came out of Tuesday night, Sam Griffin joined in the 2,000-point club. Only like 511 of those points came in a Wyoming uniform. However, that's going to be the new norm with the transfer portal.
Well, when you look back, I haven't looked at the season list, but being over 500 is a big deal in a single season.
He's been a hell of a scorer, no doubt about it. But that put me down a rabbit hole of looking at Mountain West foes, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You and I talked about this. I don't know if it means you're relying on one guy way too much. I don't know if it means it's a good thing because your team has a ton of balanced scoring. But Colorado State, for instance, has one guy above 2,000 points, and that's Isaiah Stevens, and it took 5 years to accomplish. Wyoming has 5 guys. That's not even including Sam Griffin. 5 guys who are over 2,000 points for their career at the University of Wyoming. Justin James is one of those guys, and maybe he's a guy where you go, yeah, he had to do way too much. Brandon Ewing is one of those guys. He had Brad Jones, who was putting up points galore while he was here. So that kind of bunks that. And then, of course, Finis Dembo's the king. He had Eric Lechner. He had a lot of dudes.
And Flynn Robinson did his without the three-point line.
Exactly. So then you look and you go, oh, what about New Mexico? 0 2,000-point scorers.
Danny Granger, did he leave after his sophomore year?
He might have. I think he might have been an early guy. But, I mean, New Mexico, when you think of them, though, you don't think of one dude. You think of a balanced attack. But you look at UNLV, they have 4 guys who are in the 2,000-point club. But Boise State has 1. San Diego State, Brandon Heath, 1. There might not ever be a 2,000 scorer in the history of San Diego State again. In fact, there never will be, unless somebody puts a stop to this portal jumping and this NIL stuff and portal and all that.
Freshmen, they're going to go to the NBA.
Yep, exactly. So San Diego State's likely never, but is that a bad thing? It hasn't proven to be. So I was trying to force something that probably wasn't there the other night, asking Jeff Linder, like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Are you telling Sam Griffin, like, wow, 2,000 points is unbelievable? And he said, well, Qualcott's over 2,000, so is Mason Walters. And I said, yeah, well, Sam did it at the Division I level, and he did it, and then Jeff said, tell me how many games they won. Well, Sam didn't win a lot of games. UT Arlington didn't win much. Tulsa certainly didn't win much. This is Sam Griffin's best year. The Cowboys are 14-16 overall, 7-10 in the Mountain West Conference. But is that an indictment on Sam Griffin that his teams weren't great? Finis Dembo's teams were awesome, and he scored a ton of points. But
and
Justin
James, he
had
a lot of supporting cast.
He sure did. Yeah, and Justin James, though, on the flip side, he had the one CBI year. But other than that, I mean, I think we could all consider that pretty down years when he was putting the biscuit in the basket that much. So, either way, bottom line, it is. Either way, 2,000 points is an incredible feat at the Division I level, and it's one that we're not going to see probably anybody do anymore at one school. I mean, Hunter Maldonado's a guy who did it, but he took him 5 years. So we're probably not going to see that ever again. And when we do, Sam Griffin, who's he a 2,000-point scorer for? Is it for Tulsa? Is it for UT Arlington? Is it for Wyoming? He's just a 2,000-point Division I basketball player, which is just an incredible feat.
I'll segue into this since you just put up the story about Brendan Wenzel. Will he stay or will he go? Because he does have a year left, even though he was introduced on senior night the other night. How many points does he have total?
I don't know.
Career?
I haven't looked, but I can't imagine it's anywhere near.
Because Utah, he didn't
do anything.
Play just a few games, right?
Yeah, plus he just hasn't been the guy who they've relied on to be their guy. I mean, he's averaging, 12 a game? I think a dozen a game this year. Yeah. These guys who get 2,000 are usually about 18, 19 a game. I don't even know what Finis was. I don't know if Finis was over 20 points a game. But he had a slower start to his career. I mean, this was a lot in the last 3 years. Then you got a guy like Larry Nance who played here all 4 years. Josh Adams played here all 4 years. Those guys didn't reach that. So I just don't think you're going to see it anymore. I really don't. And doesn't that suck, too, to think about? How can you not think about if the portal was around back then? Is Josh Adams here for 4 years? Is Larry Nance here for 4 years? Is Josh Allen here for 3 years? How does Josh Allen turn down a phone call from Nick Saban saying, hey, come play in Tuscaloosa, you'll be our starting quarterback, we'll win a national championship?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, you'll make $1 million a year.
Well, and that's another thing, too. We're hearing these numbers floating around. We heard them before some of these transfers left last year.
Yeah.
And then we've heard maybe what they actually did make, and it's like, holy bleep.
Yeah. If those numbers are accurate that we've heard, Wyoming's in trouble as far as the NIL goes, and you just, I guess, what you have to hope for is just to land a bunch of badass freshmen and put flash in a pan and kick ass for a year.
3 transfers like they had this year that actually started and played well together. They gelled right away, unlike the 3 transfers a year ago.
What'll be interesting, what is Utah State going to look like next year? They already clinched a share of the Mountain West title. What are they going to look like? I think Grant Osborne has 1 year left. Do you think he's going to be at Utah State next year? It's going to be pretty. His phone's going to ring
on an NFL roster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but his phone's going to ring, or he might even go pro. Who knows? But it's going to be so hard to keep dudes in basketball. It just is, and I understand why Wyoming fans are gun shy about it. They just lost eight players from a team that should have been in the NCAA tournament, and Linder has no problem mentioning. He mentioned it again the other night. If Graham Ike is healthy last year, no matter all the other drama, they're winning 20 games. They just are. I mean, he's just that impactful. And he's right. And I applaud Jeff Linder for talking about that instead of acting like you don't mention those names around me anymore. He mentions them often that, hey, he also is realistic and knows that Gonzaga paid pretty good money to get Graham Ike to Gonzaga. And he knew it was coming, and that's the one thing about Jeff. He's very realistic. I'm sure he read my column last week because he said, you want us to keep Cam Manyow and you want us to keep Cal Combs? You don't think Missouri's paying attention to what they're doing right now? You don't think any of those teams in the Midwest are paying attention to what those guys are doing right now?
Yeah, even at Kansas State.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. Where he's from.
Yeah.
I doubt Kansas, but maybe. You never know. I mean, coaches see things in players that – fans don't,
Oklahoma State's not far away.
Themselves might even be able to, let's put all of our eggs in one basket to get this guy.
Mm-hmm. And they might be a package deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is what it is, but how do you – that's the big question right now. He always calls it the elephant in the room. What do you do? Where do you even begin?
And that's just one part of it.
And that's not our problem, but where do you begin?
But that's only one part of it is the NIL.
Yeah.
The other part of it is fan support.
Yes.
And they walk out of that tunnel and see 3,000 people and see 8,000 empty seats.
Yep.
One guy said, why did they make those seats gold?
Yeah.
They just stand out way too much.
Yeah.
They need to be brown.
Yeah.
I said, well, what they need to do is drop the lighting on the fans like they do at
Madison Square Garden,
where you don't even know there's even fans there.
Yep, exactly.
All you do is see the court.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, they're not going to keep coming out to 3,000 people. And I don't know anything about Cam Manyow's future. I asked him the other day after the CSU game, do you and Cale talk about, hey, man, this is our program. We're going to take this program over. We're the guys next year. And he said, yeah, we talk about just getting better. And it's it's not exactly the answer you were looking for. I'm just reading into stuff, obviously, But
I think whatever they have set aside for basketball, for the NIL, they got to put their eggs in that basket right there with Cam and say, this is yours. We're going to build around you and go from there.
These cats need to sell themselves, though.
They do.
We had Tom Berman on this show about this time last year, and he told us Hunter Maldonado cleaned house. He said he made really good money. I want to say, I don't know if I'm putting words in his mouth, but one of the top earners.
I think he said the top earner in the Mountain West for basketball.
Yeah. He didn't do that. People didn't just drop envelopes under his door. He went out and talked to students and talked to schools and went to Boys and Girls Clubs events. And, he did all kinds of stuff. And he went around. He was doing that Canva thing or whatever it's called. Not Canva, whatever the hell it's called. Where you talk to people on their birthday. Cameo. Yeah. Calling people on their birthday.
And that's the thing, folks. If you go to the Wyoming website, you can get almost any one of these student athletes, not just from basketball or football.
Yeah.
But if you had a favorite wrestler, they can do a happy birthday to you, to a friend.
They'll come to your birthday.
Yeah, for a certain appearance fee or a speaking fee. It's fun to do, and plus you're supporting them.
And it's not expensive.
Yeah.
We saw one last year. Whatever his name was, one of the California kids who left, Jake Kyman, was you can go through and look what their prices are.
Yeah.
His was $90 to call you and say happy birthday. Hunter Maldonado, I think, was $20. I mean, I think most of the team was right around $20 for this, and Jake Kyman.
Like you said, they have to sell themselves a little bit, and from everything we've heard, this team they're not approachable.
They're nice dudes. I just don't think
But they don't put themselves out. Like if they're at dinner, they keep their heads down and don't talk to anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, and
they're at the gym and they're at home.
Yep. And you have to put yourselves out. You have to walk through campus. You have to go say hi to folks.
Yeah.
It's okay to talk to people.
How many times have you heard that story? Like, Josh Davis was in one of my classes, and he was really nice to me, so I'm going to his game.
Yep.
He said hi to me. I'm going to his game.
Well, and that's the thing, too. These players all take online classes. They don't even go to class. So that puts that out there right there, too.
Yeah.
And Jeff himself has to be more approachable.
He does.
And he has to go out and sell himself and the program. And I know he's not paid to do that, but at a Wyoming, you have to do that.
Yep. Nick Seaman told me the other day, a perfect example. He told me he was driving down the street the other day, and he looked over to his side, and there's a bald old guy walking down the sidewalk. It's Craig Bold.
Yeah.
He's still walking around, saying hi to people, stopping in the coffee shop, walking through campus, saying hi to people.
Yeah.
And Craig isn't exactly a guy you would go, oh, he's super approachable. I don't think you would look at him on his face value and say, oh,
more so now.
Yeah, that guy's totally approachable. Yeah, I saw him online yesterday with Larry Shiat wearing like a Hawaiian shirt.
Like I did see that.
He's losing his mind.
I was listening to that college station on Sirius the other day, and they had the USF coach on, and I'd be honest with you, I don't even know how they're doing, but they must be doing pretty good because they're talking about how he's kind of like revitalized the program. And he said, hey, this isn't on me. I have an assistant coach that allows me to go onto campus a couple days a week and engage with the students.
Awesome.
I have an assistant coach that takes over some duties that allows me to go out into the community to grow this program and to grow this university.
Yeah.
He goes,
love it.
And he goes, I'm one of 13 kids, and he goes, I get text messages from my siblings all the time. Oh, you're going to be coach of the year. He goes, there's no thing as coach of the year. It's staff of the year.
I texted Sundance Wicks the other day, and he said the same exact thing. Yep. He thanked his assistants, his players, and his family at home. Yeah, no doubt about it. But, and I don't know what Jeff does, but we all see that Jeff's not out there for warm-ups. Why not be going around, unless you're crossing some T's and dotting some I's, why not go shake some hands and kiss some babies? And you're not doing anything by hiding in your office.
And you're doing something that nobody else is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to do something different than what you've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And we don't expect Joe Glenn.
No. And there's only one Joe Glenn, and he just turned 75 the other day.
Yep. He did.
Happy birthday, Coach.
Yep. Love that guy.
But there has to be something done differently. And we've seen him change. He's a different person than what he was last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not throwing his hands up in the air as much as he used to. As far as I can tell, he's not complaining to the refs as much as he used to. He's high-fiving guys when they come off the bench, shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see that last year.
Not much.
In fact, I saw one time last year Powell came off, and because they made a really good play, and he got taken out, and he went over to high-five Coach, and Coach just turned around and walked away. And it's like those things. People see that stuff.
Yep.
And the players, definitely.
Oh, we hear about it all the time on social media. The old fuddy-duddies are always like, that guy just bitches the whole time, never smiles, never gets pumped.
And I've said it before on here, but he learned from the best.
Yeah.
That, I'm going to say, that jerk from Boise State. I can't stand
Leon Rice.
I cannot stand him.
Yeah.
But he learned from him.
Yeah. Yeah, who learned from Mark Few. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's, we saw Craig change too. It has to happen. And that's what I was trying to get at with the question for Linder a couple of weeks ago was you can't promise Cam Maniel people in the stands. You certainly can't promise him crazy NIL money. Can you put him in the starting lineup and really pump him up and tell him you're the guy, you're the face of our program. When there's a poster next year, you're on it. When we have stuff to do, you're our leading guy. When we have Mountain West Media Days, you're coming, and we want you to be the guy. And basically, I was asking, do you need to, for lack of a better term, do you need to kiss his ass and make sure you're re-recruiting him every day, which is definitely not in his DNA. Like, if you don't want to be here, kiss my ass. That's the same with Craig Bull. But It is the way of the world now.
Do you think we just ruined our chances of ever getting Jeff Linder on this show?
No.
Okay.
He's thick-skinned. And you know what? I know Jeff Linder, there's lovers and there's haters and a little bit in between, but I think the world of Jeff Linder in many ways. He's a basketball, I don't mind saying he's like a basketball genius. He's really, really cerebral with this game. I mean, it's incredible. He makes me feel like a moron, and not that I'm a basketball guru by any means, but he makes me feel like an absolute idiot. And he knows what he's doing, and he's a really look at his recruiting. I talked about him. I talked with Jeff off the record the other night, and I said, imagine if you got all those guys to UNC that you got to come to Wyoming during COVID year.
Yep.
UNC would have been hang a banner. You don't even need to play the season. That's how good they would have been.
Maybe with the Wyoming rodeo team's home rodeo coming up in April, maybe Jeff will get on a bowl then.
Maybe Jeff should be the one to do it, not Jay.
Yeah,
or both.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or it's a competition between them both.
Yeah.
And there's an auction at Calcutta beforehand.
Raise money for the rodeo program, basketball and football.
Yep.
That'd be sweet.
Tom, hope you're listening.
Tom can be the rodeo clown. That'd be awesome. Wouldn't that be sweet?
He's got some agility,
I think so.
Yeah.
He still looks like he's a
he stays in good shape.
Whippersnapper.
Yep.
I guess we can close with I know track. Wyoming track has been near and dear to your heart. Obviously, with your niece kicking so much ass while she was in Laramie. Big week for Pitter and Mersal heading to the indoor championships.
They jumped today at 2. So saying today is Friday at 2 p.m. So just about an hour and a half away, out in Boston.
Yeah, so, nice.
Good luck to them.
Grizzle and Schultz, a couple of volleyball players selected to the Mountain West Global Challenge team. They're going to go over to Europe and do their thing. So
little volleyball in Croatia.
Yeah, not bad. 8 Cowboys earning seeds ahead of the Big 12 championships. I know you keep an eye on wrestling a bit. Jory Volk is, I believe, the number 1 seed or the number 5 seed, but the top seeded Cowboy heading into Tulsa.
Yeah, and he's been banged up a little bit the last month of the season. He's beat the number 1 guy once this year. He beat the number 2 and a number 4 or something like that. He's
7-6 against ranked opponents.
A bunch in front of him. But then he's also lost the matches that he would probably tell you, and Mark Branch probably tell you that he shouldn't have lost. But they took some lumps this season, but they were better than they were last year. They're so young.
They're getting hit by the portal too.
Yep. And they are so young though, and they've actually got to get a few people from the portal, but they've had some top 20 ranked recruiting classes the last couple of years, and that I'm guessing they're probably on that way to another one this year. So the future is very bright for Mark Branch and the Cowboy wrestling program.
Yep, just got to keep them. Unfortunately, that's the name of the game, isn't it?
Real quick on the Cowgirls, they'll open up as the 3 seed on Monday night. Does it not seem that they are the 3 seed every single year and play the late game every single year?
Yep. Yeah, they'll play the winner of Boise State and Utah State. They get a bye, first round bye. They struggled down the stretch, something fierce.
Well, to give up that lead they did at San Diego State the other day, but
was
that's
it 15-0 run for the Aztecs?
It's been a crutch for them for 10 years. For some reason, the fourth quarter or the late part of the second half has just not gone well from them. And is it the depth? Might be. Is it confidence? Might be.
Yeah, shots not falling. Yeah. A lot of shots not falling this year.
The one fourth quarter I can remember this year was when they held off BYU.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave that lead up, and then BYU actually took the lead, and then they came back. And
same with CSU at home. Yep, had to hold off them too.
But they're in a good position to get to that championship game once again.
They won't mess with UNLV until the championship, so UNLV is the clear cut.
Did you see the whooping they put on Utah State? 103-44 or something like that?
Utah State's really bad. So chances are they're playing Boise State Tuesday in Las Vegas for their opening round match.
Monday.
Or Monday, I'm sorry. Yeah, I am getting out there Tuesday night. The Wyoming men obviously play at 11, 12, I think 11 on Wednesday morning.
Okay.
Is it 11? I can't
11
remember.
or noon.
I can't remember, whatever. 11 or noon on Mountain West Net. Is that game on TV?
Wednesday is Mountain West Network.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they have, obviously, Fresno State, Xavier Dussel again. Dusel's been...
After they play him tomorrow.
Tomorrow. That game's at 5, also on the Mountain West Network. Be interesting to see. Of course, you never want Wyoming to lose, but you also know that beating a team 3 times is really hard, especially back-to-back times.
I don't know if it makes a lot of difference in a situation like this because Fresno State knows that they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that they're not going to go anywhere.
I think their coach is probably 1 foot out the door. And have they given up? It's easy to say maybe, but then they hung with San Diego State the other night. They got beat by 20 in the pit rather easily the other night as well. So you don't even know what Fresno State. You're going to play in front of absolutely no one. There's going to be no one there.
I think in this situation, if Fresno were to beat Wyoming, then they're like, hey, we just did it. We can do it again right now.
Yeah.
So I think that it's more favor of them if they were to win tomorrow.
Yeah, and we might do a podcast from Vegas when I'm there with Ryan Thorburn and Alex Taylor, but I think Wyoming gets to at least the quarterfinals of the Mountain West Tournament. I don't think they lose to Fresno State. I think they beat them in the beginning, and Utah State, if you think about it, they played them really well in Laramie, and they played them damn good in the first half in Logan. It got away from them really quick there in the second half, but they have played that team. To me, and you might be different, Jared, but the matchup against Boise State sucks so bad compared to the matchup against Utah State.
Totally agree. And Utah State's big, but they're not big like Boise, and I don't know if that even makes sense.
It does.
Boise's bigs are just different.
I mean, Degenhardt's a guard.
Yeah, than Utah State.
And he's huge. Yeah. He's almost impossible to guard. And he's from Spokane, and I have to think that they have to be – you think Gonzaga would like to have Tyson Degenhardt this year? That kid's going to be in the running for Mountain West Player of the Year along with Ledee, and he's just damn good. I can't wait for him to be done, in fact. And I think he even has a year left. Because of COVID. So we're almost done with this COVID stuff, and we can get back to normal, I hope. But, yeah, I like the matchup against Utah State a hell of a lot better than I do, and I feel like this Mountain West tournament is going to be loaded with chaos, and it's going to be really fun. My idea is when and if the Wyoming Cowboys get bounced, we are going to use our press passes, go sit in the stands, and start drinking beer and watching, because it's going to be – usually I'm not a basketball guy like that where I'm going to stick around and watch a bunch of games, but
it's going to be good.
That's the plan this year because the crowd's going to be awesome and into it. I think even like CSU is going to have some crowd there, which has never happened. So I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, if you're looking back to the crowds of when BYU and Utah were still in the league because it's San Diego State's good and they're going to have their people there no matter what. New Mexico's back somewhat, so that crowd's going to be there.
And I think UNLV is going to show up.
That crowd,
they might be the best team.
They had 9,000 at that game the other night.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think, to me, if I had to pick right now, gun to the head, I say UNLV is going to win this whole thing.
And part of me, if it's not Wyoming, I'd kind of like to see it.
I would too. Yeah, if it's not Wyoming, give me UNLV.
Yep.
Utah State's been a nice story all year, but they're still, their first name is Utah.
And of course, we can't have that team down south winning it. So,
boy, CSU's just too inconsistent. I just don't.
When Isaiah Stevens takes over a game, though,
man,
where's out the other 38 minutes of the game?
I know.
Those shots.
I know.
I mean, he did it against Wyoming. He did it the game before against Nevada that put him, that they thought was going to go. They were going to win.
Imagine CSU wins that game and beats Wyoming. They're in the top 25, plus they probably hanging a banner.
Yeah.
But we had where our seats were in Moby, some of the passes that guy made were just, they were beautiful. Like just anticipatory passes into the paint where you were just like, oh my God, did he really just do that?
When you see people making shots like he does with the off balance, jumping backwards type stuff, it's almost like, why do you ever even catch and shoot it any other way?
I know. He's a special player.
And we're talking too much about Rams.
He will not be missed either.
No.
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I really feel like the Cowboys haven't put together a complete game yet. And I feel like, how do you go through an entire season and not put together a complete game? I feel like they can do it against Fresno. Will it come tomorrow? Yeah, kind of hope it comes Wednesday. But you'd like to see tomorrow. Obviously, you walk out with a win. That'd be the Cowboys' third win on the road in the Mountain West. Tell me you wouldn't have taken the Cowboys finishing a game under 500 this season and 8-10 in Mountain West play.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
we've talked about several times on this show, but there for a while, especially after that Weber State game, I said, you find me 5 conference wins.
I know. We talked about that a lot. And if you think about it, the miracle against CSU, hitting back-to-back buzzer beaters against San Jose State and Fresno State.
Yeah.
That's 3 losses. And then you catch Nevada, who might be the hottest team. That game between Nevada and UNLV tomorrow is going to be really good. Nevada might be the hottest team.
Is that for the Cannon?
Yeah, it should be. That game's been more fun than the football game.
Well, and you bring that up. I mean, UNLV and Nevada both good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exciting.
It's good for the game. And Wyoming and CSU, when they're both good,
Yes.
It's good for the game. And Nevada might be the best team going right now that's not named UNLV. So tomorrow night's going to be really exciting to see.
And the way the national basketball people are talking about the Mountain West as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 7 teams contending for really 6 spots. Outside chance, a 7th team. I mean, very, very outside chance, but they are talking about it.
Imagine Wyoming winning this thing and throwing a big wrench in things.
Any team that should, that'd be funny as hell.
Yeah, it'd be great. But it's hard to believe. CSU was in the top 25 last week. They're just above Wyoming in the standings.
Yep.
Who would have ever thought?
But, yeah, we saw San Diego State make that run last year. Awesome. But at least 2 teams that get in have to get to the
second
16.
one. Yeah.
And 4 of the 6 need advance to the second
week.
round.
Yeah.
But the NCAA tournament, I mean, good luck filling a bracket out.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're 50%.
No doubt. I still think San Diego State's probably the best team that's geared to make hay in March, but damn, dude, UNLV, when you see them live, they're an impressive group all the way around. And man, when Thomas is hitting too from the outside, they are scary good. And Utah State's really good too. So and I don't think anybody would be real eager to play Colorado State either.
Yep.
But think about the team if one of those teams is left out and playing in the NIT. I mean, it's just going to be – that's how it's going to go, man. It's just going to be brutal. But the Mountain West does need to make hay, and we've talked about it. I'm not a conference fan by any stretch, but I would love to see 7 teams get in this thing. And like you said, win when you get there. Keep that going.
Well, and you move forward to Friday semifinals. Only 4 of those 7 are going to be playing in it.
Ooh.
Maybe. And if there's an upset, only 3 of them maybe.
Man, that's Mountain West tournament's
scary to think of.
It's going to be a fun weekend.
But I would love to see UNLV in the championship game because I want to see that Thomas and Max sold out for the championship game.
No doubt. Would love to see that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And it's snowing here, so I'm really excited to get to Las Vegas.
It looks like 70s pretty much all week in Vegas, too.
High 60s. I don't know if that's good enough to get in a pool, but
some of those places don't even have pools open.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm staying at the Rio, so I don't think it's open. But a few liquid pork chops, and I'll jump in whatever you got. So excited for it. It's gonna be fun. I don't like going to Vegas when I know the Cowboys are likely a one and done. I really want, selfishly, the Cowboys to win 1 and possibly 2. In this tournament, to write about this team and to, last year we're going into this thing, it's a total disaster of a season. Jeff Linder's not even here. He didn't even go to Vegas last year because of his ailing father. They run into New Mexico. They play them really well. Hunter Maldonado scores 1,000,000 points but fouls out at the end. And they fought like hell. But it was one and done, and that's never fun, man. We're going to be there until Saturday. So I wasn't looking for a vacation to Las Vegas. I want to write about the Wyoming Cowboys and see what happens and put off this portal news and all that good stuff that's likely coming down the pike, which it always is. It's just going to. Every year at the end of the year, we're going to be talking about this damn portal, and that's all there is to it. So you might as well get used to it. Might as well roll with the punches. And like I always say, now you go for the name on the front of the jersey more than ever. And I know that's not beneficial necessarily for NIL, but tough. You got to do what you got to do.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I'm taking the Wyoming Cowboys, and if not, the UNLV Running Rebels.
Like it.
It's going to be a fun weekend, but we'll hook up when we get back, and we'll have some NFL Pro Day in Laramie. I believe March 19th is Pro Day over there.
And that's right before they get started with spring football the week after.
March 26th on a Tuesday. And then
Cody gets to go watch several practices and scrimmages. So.
Well, and so do you people.
Well, we'll have some reports for you.
Yeah, and we'll get you some dates. There is a story on the website that says these are some important dates you should know for Wyoming football, because Jay Salvell has already put out the 2 days where fans can come watch and stand on the sideline.
One thing we didn't even talk about, and I just closed the window on my computer, basketball scheduling. With the conference just moved to a 20-game conference schedule, which is great.
Yes.
And we were looking at maybe that only leaves 11 games for the Cowboys to schedule now, home and away. So one of those is probably going to be a 3-game tournament, neutral court tournament, maybe 2 again, who knows.
Mm-hmm.
But then we do know that BYU is scheduled to come to Laramie. We don't know if it's next season or the year after, but they are scheduled to come back.
Yeah.
Possibly a Portland.
Yep.
And then they would go on the road.
Stephen F. Austin, Weber State.
Stephen F. Austin and Weber State maybe. But with 2 games gone now from the non-conference season, they might have to reschedule. Maybe it's 2 years from now that they do a return visit, just because there's going to be conference games in the beginning of December now.
It helps tremendously, and
I like it.
I love it. And I got a message yesterday saying, well, it's not good for the conference. Well, first of all, who gives a shit about the conference? Second of all, why? We're going to take a quad 1 game away from San Diego State?
Well,
Heaven forbid.
I think what they were probably saying is that this conference beats each other so much that they almost do more harm than good.
Sure.
Kind of like what they've done down the stretch. But if they play a non-conference schedule the way that they all did, they're all still in the top 40 in the net. So the net's kind of a goofy metric anyway, but they're still going to they should get a handful in.
And you know what we always like to say? Just win.
Yeah.
Just win. Take care of your business, and you're going to get in. Or if your conference schedule or your non-conference isn't good enough, go win the Mountain West tournament. Easier said than done, but go do it.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but the greater good, it's better for the greater good. Utah State's not landing anybody in non-conference. We're not landing anyone. Wyoming gets no one in non-conference, and that's been going on for years. Boise State has struggles to get people to come. We're not all living on the beach in Southern California.
Exactly. And one other thing that was announced this week, outdoor concerts, CFD.
I know you like the first one, and that's the only one
Turnpike
I like.
Troubadours is going to be great on Friday night. If you guys don't know who they are, go listen to them because they will blow your socks off.
That's the only one I like.
Probably go see Laney to look at the booty.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, you do.
I do?
Yeah, you do.
Angry Girl Country.
It's not angry.
Oh, that's good. Not
Louisiana.
Key in your car and
no.
Lighting your house on fire.
Screw her. She was signed here to come, and then she found out it was a rodeo, and she likes PETA.
Country singer doesn't like coming to
Carrie
rodeos
Underwood.
because of, is that her, the key in your car lady? Yeah.
But anyway, Chris Ledoux Days was announced. So Ned and Kyle Park, and then some local guy. Kyle Park's pretty good, too. So it's getting to be that season, and Midland's going to be at the Gaslight Social up in Casper.
Love Midland.
Yeah, they're good.
Have you been to Chris Ledoux Days?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't gone, and the reason I haven't is because I think of, you probably need to camp, and I sure as hell ain't camping.
I slept in my truck one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like pooping on toilets and showering and...
Well, and then last year 2 years ago, I was up there when Cody Canada was there and just drove back to Casper. I just didn't have any pops. So
that's the problem. And I don't think I hang out with anybody who doesn't do that.
But a guy he texted me yesterday, he goes, "We're going." And luckily he has a fifth wheel. So. Oh,
there you go. See, and I'll never have that because I hate camping so much. But I would love to go to that, and definitely the Gaslight.
Yeah.
Do you know when that is?
July 12th.
I will be making my first trip in April to Red Rocks. Most of my music doesn't play at Red Rocks. Have you been there before?
Oh, yeah.
I never have been.
Who's playing?
Cannibal Corpse is going to be playing at Red Rocks. So
who?
Excited for that. And then Slaughter to Prevail is playing at the Mission Ballroom in Denver in 3 days before that.
The Mission Ballroom is a great setup.
I've never been there either.
It's built for music.
Awesome.
It is really cool.
I always ended up, my concerts are mostly at the Fiddlers.
Yeah.
which I love if the weather's great. Fiddler's is awesome, and then a bunch of other smaller metal venues around. So
the Gothic.
Yep, Gothic. I saw David Allen Coe at the Gothic. I liked it there.
I've seen a lot of people at the Gothic.
Yeah, and I love that, they're doing it up here at the Lincoln. I mean, I hope they get some more stuff we like.
So there's a guy coming here in a couple weeks named Wyatt Flores.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm usually on top of this red dirt type stuff. Never heard of him before. And then started researching them. So I reached out to my stepson. I said, hey, you want to go to this? He goes, I already have tickets.
Oh.
I said, what am I, chopped liver? You didn't even let me know. He goes, I figured you were going already anyway. I said,
good?
How did you not bum a ticket off of me then? It's sold out.
Wow.
And secondary tickets are like $100.
Dang.
Yeah, he's
I've never even
good.
heard of him.
He's taken a mental health hiatus the last couple of weeks.
Need one of those.
Apparently he reacts differently, and I think a lot of our artists have talked about this, but when fans are singing the lyrics back to him, it like hits him differently. He didn't know how to take it. So I think obviously he's an addict of some sort. So
interesting.
But anyway, so they're coming, and is it Jimmy Vaughn? Some guitarist is coming. Yeah, so that
is an Ice Cube coming back, or
already? He's coming back, but ticket prices are ridiculous for that one.
I love that they're doing that, though. Repurposing the Lincoln, which was an old movie theater here, used to go. I think I kissed my first girl there, and it was like $2 to go see My Girl.
5th grade?
Yeah, 5th or 6th. I was necking with some chick named Lauren in 5th grade. Mom, I hope Mom's not listening to this. To My Girl.
All right, we got off on a little tangent there, but
we always start screwing around here at the end and get ourselves in trouble. So, all right, fun Mountain West tournament coming up. Excited to see if the Cowboys can throw a wrench in this biatch, and it's going to be a lot of fun either way. I think it's must-watch TV, and I am not a huge basketball guy by any stretch, but I'm excited to park myself in a seat and watch it all unfold. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and when we get back, football, and more football before we get into the lulls of summer. So excited for that too. So we'll catch you next week.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.